Hey, what's going on, guys? Kel Myrick with easiestbusiness.com. Today I'm actually not going to use my whiteboard. I actually just wrote on it so you would be able to keep track of what we were talking about throughout the whole video, as well as using the manual focus on my camera to make sure everything wasn't blurred when I set up the camera. So it's going to be kind of weird, but I'm not writing on the whiteboard today. I just want to talk about what it was like being a project manager slash estimator for a commercial painting company. This also applies to other trades more than likely, so you can stay tuned if you're not in the paint field, or you're thinking about getting in the paint field, or maybe you're thinking about getting to HVAC or mechanical or plumbing or whatever in the office side of things. So I worked for what I would consider relatively small as far as volume goes. Now, we were doing $13 million a year in sales, and that is a lot of paint jobs. I mean, you're talking a couple of hundred painters full time. We had two like front desk ladies. One was a receptionist, one was like a receptionist slash dealt with like the bid list, helping making some of the bid invites and stuff like that, or receiving bid invites rather, and forwarding them to us. So kind of like a lady that kind of did a little bit of everything. We had two girls there. We had a lady that was an accountant. I want to say we had 5 superintendents, if I remember correctly, that managed crews of people. And of course you have a foreman on every crew, and then painters as well. So we had 5 superintendents. The owner would be in the building. And then it was me and another guy. He was kind of the lead estimator. I had a few years of experience. I was just an estimator, but we were both project managers as well, which comes with its own set of challenges and things like that for anybody who's ever done it. So not only are we bidding all the jobs that the company gets throughout the week, throughout the month, the year, we're also managing any material ordering that has to be done as far as vinyl wall covering. We didn't really order paint because the superintendents would order the paint, pick up the paint, deliver it to the job site in the morning. So that was kind of the, all our duties wrapped into one. Is we would estimate all the jobs, follow up on the jobs, not order any paint, but we would order wall covering. So that was our job. And then we would see basically from bid to close out of projects, any issues that arise on the job sites. We would handle change orders, extra work tickets, all that stuff. So I'm just going to go over a brief, summary of what it was like day by day. I'm not going to go walk through my office and sip coffee and play music like you see all these days in the life. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what it was like, so you can get an idea of maybe if you were thinking how to structure your day, or if you were thinking how to get into this field and would it be right for you. Maybe this will give you an idea. So day in the life, we usually started 7 o'clock was when you started work. We usually knocked off at 4, but you could stay late. You could come in early if you want. We had keys to the office. Obviously, if we're bidding all your jobs, you have to trust us, right? Like all your profit margins and money you're making is going to have to come from, me and one other guy for the company. Like we're solely responsible for bringing the work in and making sure people are still employed and people have, places to work and things like that. Now the workers, they were obviously responsible for getting the job done, so everybody plays their part, but it has to begin with us. So you have to trust us first and foremost. So we would typically get there before the boss. Boss gets there about 7:30. We would typically try to get there anytime between 6 and 7. We like to be early just because it gives off the perception that, hey, we're working hard, we're trying to get it done, it looks good. When it comes time to ask for a raise, you want to be able to say, look, I came early, I showed up early, I did everything I could in my power to make you successful, make the business successful, all that stuff. So we'd come in, if you had your coffee at home, you had your coffee at home, but we'd typically come in early, so we just make coffee there. It was obviously free, paid for by the company. They also had waters, refreshments, snacks, things like that to keep us satisfied throughout the day if we got busy and didn't have time to take a break. Because we were salaried and not paid by the hour, so we didn't get like a set lunchtime. Whenever we weren't busy or whenever we decided we wanted to, we would take a lunch, and we could take 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half sometimes, because there's no set limits. So we would show up 6:30, basically start checking emails from the day before. Now we did have service on our phones. I would take work email on my personal phone, and my boss gave me $100 a month towards my phone bill, because he wanted to say, hey, you don't have to take your work home, but if you decide to put your work on your phone and respond to emails over, at night or whatever, here's $100 a month to cover your phone bill. So he did do that. I did get a nice phone out of it, and I did decide to use that, towards my phone bill so I could answer emails after hours, because a lot of times we were inundated by numbers, right? Like we wanted to land all the jobs, respond to all the questions. We wanted to look good at the review period, to say, hey, look, I landed this many jobs. I did this, I did this, I did this. It just looks good. So get there 6:30, make coffee, drink it, catch up on emails. We may see emails at night on our phone, but maybe not respond to them if they're not that important. And we were probably getting anywhere from 40 to 100 emails a day, whether that be bid invites, contractor issues, going back and forth on bids that we're current bidding, like RFIs, asking questions and stuff like that. So typically we'd have some emails to respond to in the morning. We respond to those. We would take any new invites, bid invites. We'd put them on an interactive bid list. We'd update the bid list every day, print it out every single day, once in the morning, sometimes once in the evening too, depending on how many bids get added. We would staple it together, pass it out to the owner, the front desk lady that helped with the bid list, the head estimator, me, and then we would all review it. We would all talk about what's been done, what needs to be done. We'd kind of get together, have a little formal meeting, or informal meeting rather, and then kind of prioritize certain jobs, because when you're in this field, certain jobs are more important than the others. You know, you're not, you may have a Starbucks that's bidding that's 100 miles away, and then you may have a giant 15-story apartment building that's being bid 3 miles down the street with a contractor that you really like and you have a good relationship with. So obviously, you know, if we're going to delete something from the bid list here and there, we need to all discuss it so we're not doing work that's not going to get submitted. So doing free work basically. So we'd have a little meeting between me and the other estimators. We may chit chat. You know, we don't jump right into everything always and just grind all day, right? Like, you got to have your mental breaks. You got to take your moments here and there. You got to laugh and joke, drink your coffee, talk about jobs, talk about our family life, things at home. Everything's not always about work, right? There are definitely more important things in this world than work. So we get through with that. We kind of meander around for a little bit, go to our offices, and you're on your own at that point. Like, you decide what's most important. If you haven't talked about it, you look at your bid list, say, hey, this is a big bid. It's due in 3 days, but a small bid's due tomorrow. You may want to start on the big bid today, just to gauge it, see how long it's going to take you to do the takeoff, to get the numbers right, and then switch to that small bid later, and you can still get everything done on time. You were set at your own pace. Nobody really micromanaged you. You know, you decided basically the bids that were assigned to you. That's one thing I did forget to say on the bid list. He would divvy out bids. He would say, Kale does these bids, I do these bids, and he would kind of divvy them out evenly. So it was up to you to decide what was most important if it wasn't like one of those projects that was on your scope. So you decide which is most important and you start working on those bids. Any questions come up, anything arise, you send emails off, you make phone calls as necessary. We would keep the interactive bid list on the computer. We would go back and usually once a month, twice a month, we would follow up on old bids we did if we hadn't received word on them, where you can call GCs you have good relationships with. Hey man, how we do on this bid? How'd we look? You could send follow-up emails. And we did have goals where we would want to follow up on X number of jobs per week or per month. I can't remember the exact numbers. I want to say it was something like 10, 5 to 10 a week, I believe, is what we were following up on old jobs, because we were doing so many bids during the week. We were probably doing 30 to 40 bids a week on average. So following up on 10, that's just 10 a piece. So that's 20. That's half your jobs, just about it, that you're following up on every week. So I'd usually give them 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, I would follow up on the job, because if you hadn't heard anything then, by then, you want to kind of see where you were. And some GCs would give you a hint, I'm not asking for exact numbers, but when I follow up, I would say, hey, how did our bid look? Were we in the range? Were we competitive, or what? And a lot of times they would say, you're about 20% high. Your bid looked really low. Let me go back and look at it. Okay, this is what I saw. Can you revise this number and send it back to me? Because the general contractors have so many subs that are bidding to them for every single division of construction, they can't possibly give everybody feedback. I mean, they could, but it would just take them a while to give everybody feedback on their numbers. So we would do that with the bid list. Once you knock that out, we'd take lunch. Once you get some stuff done in the morning, we'd take lunch whenever we felt like it, whenever we weren't busy. Sometimes we'd have an afternoon meeting about a certain project. And I know once a week we'd have a meeting that was like company-wide I say company-wide, but it was all the superintendents, all the office people, the owner, and then the estimators, of course. And we'd all sit down at the table, go over jobs. Hey, what's happening on this job that we're on? And every job that we were on site on, we would go to the superintendents and we would talk about it, how it looked, how we thought we were doing, what our numbers looked like, how long we had left out there. Basically get a good progression, get a good visual progression of how things were going, right? So whether we needed more manpower here, hey, I need 3 more guys over here, they'd swap around from crews to crews with superintendents and make sure everything was handled. And you know, that's basically it. It's not anything fancy. It's an office job. You dress business casual, you know, so polo and slacks every day, or polo and jeans, you know, decent shoes, loafers, whatever. I really enjoyed doing it. Wish I kind of still lived up there and I could still be doing it, because I really did like it. You know, you always had a sense of accomplishment when you were doing this job. It was always, you know, I got this job, I landed this job through, you know, my skills, my knowledge, my numbers, and it was 30% profitable, $400,000 job. Like, that always felt good, knowing that you were making the company money. And of course, the boss always took care of you. If you have a boss that doesn't take care of you, you should not be working for that boss. So, end of the year came, perks. You know, we had our perks throughout the year. I know the lead estimator was getting taken care of well, gas card, company vehicle, things like that. I hadn't made it to that status yet when I was doing it. Unfortunately, I had to move before all that could occur in my life. But end of year bonus, pretty good for me, and I know really good for the lead estimator. I was working my way up at the time, but you know, life had a different plan for me, so here I am. But that's kind of what it was like, day in the life. Nothing too special. You just went in, you looked nice, you talked a bunch on the phone, you did a lot of emails, a lot of bidding, and it was kind of like, you know, you're not really self-employed, but it's kind of like being self-employed because you're not paid hourly. So you're literally just thrown into this space. You do what you see is most important fit, and as long as it's done by the due date on the bid list, then you're good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Kind of a little bit different video than you're used to probably. There's no math, no analytical things or anything like that. But you know, not a whole bunch of secrets in this video, but it's just, this is my experience in being a project manager slash estimator for a commercial paint company, doing 13 million plus a year in business. And that's before you count change orders and extra work tickets. So we were probably around 15, 16 million when all was said and done on the books. But leave me a like. Let me know what you guys thought about something like this. I know it's kind of unique, and if you're looking for business tips or math or anything like that, I apologize. But leave me a comment, let me know, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already.